Hello, good morning, everyone. I'd like to give you a very warm welcome to today's presentation. And I can see that my co-hosts or co-presenters, Hannah Usbeck-Frey and Hilda Körner, are also around. And we've got 5 people right now. So before we start, I'll start introducing myself and what exactly it is we're going to do today. I would like to let everyone know that this presentation is being recorded, and should you not wish to be recorded, please keep your camera and microphones turned off at all times. If you would still like to ask a question at the end, then please send a private message to the moderator or moderators. Right, so today our presentation is going to consist out of the following 4 parts. I'll give a general introduction with some background information on writing consultancy, language counseling and autonomous learning, that is independent learning. Then Hannah Usbeck-Frey will tell us about her writing consultancy, what exactly it is, and who and how students and staff can benefit from the service. And finally, Hilda Körner is going to talk about language learning counseling and tell us what exactly she does and in how far everyone at FHWS can benefit from her service. And after that, there is going to be a question and answer session. So please note down your questions that may come up in the course of this presentation, and we'll get back to you at the end. Right, so before we start, let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Claudia Wunderlich. I'm a professor of English for specific purposes and German as a foreign language here at FHWS. And I have degrees from universities in Canada, Germany, and the United Kingdom in 3 different languages of instruction. In the UK, I also studied at the University of Oxford. And I've been teaching in academia and also corporate settings for many, many years. And I have specialized in English for specific purposes and languages for specific purposes for that matter from very early on. And at FHWS, we aim to become a bilingual institution, at least in parts, and that is the background to what, or the background to our language training offerings that my team at Best Fit and I have set up. Right, so let me give you a little background about the linguistic situation at FHWS for those who are new to FHWS or not familiar with the situation. So at the Schweinfurt campus, we've got several bachelor's programs taught in both English and German in the fields of business and engineering, international management, logistics, mechatronics, and robotics, which has just been introduced. And these programs are called twin programs because they're offered both in German and English, and they're very similar, comparable in their structure and content to in both languages. So students enrolled both in English, in the English language and German language programs can expect to study approximately the same content matter. And therefore, later on during their studies, if students are proficient enough in the other language, that is English or German, they can switch and attend lectures in the other language. That means that in the end, if they attend enough lectures in the other language, they will be able to receive a so-called twin certificate. However, another prerequisite is that they can prove high enough English language skills. And this is also why we are offering additional language services in addition to the curricular English courses that are offered in many programs. Right, to give you an overview in the form of a graph, this is what the twin program looks like. So students choose to begin their studies either in a German or English program where German or English are the language of instruction. And after the first few semesters, they can then change and choose to complete courses in the other language of instruction. And the idea is also for our students to mix and mingle with each other, which is a really fascinating learning environment from an intercultural point of view as well. And also our students need to complete company placements as well as work-study programs in certain cases. And in these cases, the international students who study in English are also expected to mix and mingle with German students and staff at the companies they work. So linguistic skills are really play a really important role at our university. And because English is the medium of instruction in many courses and the international lingua franca of business, both in regular business as well as in engineering these days, we need our students to reach a really high level. And again, many students get to take curricular English courses, but it takes many hours, contact hours, to significantly improve their language skills, and therefore additional offerings are needed. And also teaching methods have been changing in recent decades, so there's been a move towards learner-centeredness, so away from the sage on the stage, the traditional teacher who imparts the knowledge in the form of lectures, to more of a coaching situation where the instructor is the guide by the side, who fosters the learning process and moderates the learning process. And also there's been a shift towards communicative and task-based learning. So instead of grammar gap fills, increasingly we want our students to engage in meaningful interaction and sort of emulate or simulate business scenarios. And this is also against the leading idea behind this is also to encourage and foster learner autonomy, to make our students masters of their learning process. And therefore we've introduced counseling learning, where with the help of a counselor, students take more or full responsibility of the learning process. And this goes hand in hand with independent study, which along with autonomous learning is sort of a buzzword in modern day language learning and teaching. This all goes hand in hand with the advent of computer technologies that previously did not exist, so both modern PCs and internet access, and therefore blended learning and computer-assisted language learning have become widely established. And this also enables more student-centered and autonomous learning, because on our learning management system, e-learning Moodle, we can provide our students with additional learning materials that they can study on their own in their spare time, or complete parts of the course that only part of the students need to cover because they need to catch up in some area, or because they're more advanced than the other. So we are also dealing with more heterogeneous groups than in previous years because of internationalization, but also because the universities are now open to a larger student base, students who receive their university entrance qualification, their German Abitur, in non-traditional ways, or don't even have a classical traditional Abitur, Fachabitur. Right, so in addition to normal curricular language courses, our module COMA, coaching matters and autonomous learning here at Best Fit, we have added some programs to help students become more autonomous learners and benefit from computer-assisted language learning. And therefore, we were able to buy access to online language trainings called Speaks and Techno Plus, which are training programs for English for specific purposes. Speaks for business English. Techno Plus is more for technical English for engineers. And because just letting students learn by themselves in front of a computer may not lead to the best results, because students still may come up with questions, and when it's outside of a curricular language class, there may not be anyone to answer their questions, etc. And therefore our language learning counselor is there to assist the students, to identify goals, and also answer all the questions, but she'll tell us more about this later on during this talk. So blended learning, computerized language learning materials in addition to or as a component of a curricular course, as well as independent autonomous studies in addition to such courses, are what we greatly encourage and have strengthened here at FHWS in recent years. Now, when we talk about computer-assisted language learning, there's been another major development in the past few decades, which has also been enabled by powerful computers and internet connections, and that is language corpora. Language corpora are large collections of spoken and or written texts, and those collections of text can be queried, analyzed, and visualized with the help of corpus software. And this approach has become widely established. And I'm not promoting this just because I wrote my doctoral thesis in this area, but this is a field which has become the gold standard in dictionary writing and grammar book writing, even English language learning material writing, but also for classroom use and to help students improve their academic writing, or writing in general. Business writing would be another field of application. And so what we do in a classroom situation or in a writing consultancy situation is also called the language detective methodology. And again, this is linked with autonomous learning and independent study, because here students identify problem areas. For example, they may not know whether the verb discuss is followed by a preposition, and if yes, what preposition it would be. And to the big surprise, or great surprise of many, discuss in English is not followed by a preposition, although most learners tend to think it's followed by about. But in English, the only correct way to express a discussion or using the verb discuss is without the preposition about. So you would discuss something, you would discuss a topic. And by querying a corpus, you can find out whether a preposition is used in this construction and many others. And that's a typical field of application, or how words go together. Hannah Usbek-Frey will show us an example of what we call collocations or word partnerships that are also really important. Right, and this way, with the help of corpora, students are able to gain insight into how authentic language really works. It's not an instructor, it says, or a so-called native speaker who out of the comfort of their armchair says that works or that doesn't work, and can't really say why or why not. And there are also lots of false beliefs out there and myths that can be debunked with the help of corpora. Right, so academic and writing consultancy is also an important part, and we've introduced this because although better linguistic skills that we try to promote at FHWS are necessary, but not sufficient prerequisite for academic writing. And also, academic writing is taught widely in the English-speaking world, and there's lots of literature and many rules can be identified, because academic language is a specific genre with its own vocabulary, structures, collocations, chunks, and how the text flows. We call that moves, etc. And therefore, a writing consultancy works beautifully either in addition to traditional academic writing courses or as an alternative to academic writing courses, which is what we've established here. And we'll hear more about this soon. So this is another vital component in the language learning portfolio of FHWS to the benefit of both staff and students. So this is just a little general background to all this. I tried to keep the theory to a minimum and did not bombard you with with a bibliography, etc., because that would only be of relevance to language professional or teachers of and professors of language teaching. Now let's take a closer look at the writing consultancy, and I'll hand over to Hannah Usbeck-Frey. Yeah, and first of all, could you briefly introduce yourself, tell us more about your educational and professional background, and tell us what motivated you to offer your services at FHWS?
Yes, good morning. My name is Hannah Usbeck-Frey. I am a secondary school teacher for English and music at German Gymnasien. And because I was a little bit unhappy with the extent of my German studies, I also did an additional master's degree in TESOL studies at the University of Leeds in Great Britain. TESOL is teaching English to speakers of other languages. And yeah, when I learned about the job opening at the FHWS, I was quite intrigued because I've always wanted to also get some experience in adult education, and found it very interesting to work on at a more advanced level of English. And I also particularly liked the idea of having the consultancy, having that one-on-one situation, because I believe that's hugely beneficial for learning. And this is something you don't have at school, where you have 25 to 30 students in your classroom. So yeah, that's why I'm doing the job.
That's great. And why exactly is your service so useful for our FHWS members?
It is because academic writing is something that you can learn. And that idea, as you've already pointed out, Mrs. Wunderlich, is not very prominent in Germany yet. In the English-speaking world, this is much more, you find writing courses or writing consultancies at almost every university, whereas in Germany, students at German universities are often expected to learn how to write academically along the way. They are expected to pick it up by reading other academic texts, but that can be really tiring, time-consuming, because it's so different from what they learn at school. At school, the focus is on learning how to write correctly. You learn the grammar, you learn the vocabulary, maybe you learn about certain genres, like how to write an argumentative essay or a letter. But that won't get you through university. That won't help you if you have to write a bachelor's or master's thesis in English, or if you need to publish an article in English. And academic writing also entails a lot more knowledge and skills. Yeah, there are rules to it. It has certain features that you can learn. For example, you can learn how to write a good paragraph. There are principles in writing that help you to make a convincing argument. And this is basically what most academic writing is about. You want other people to convince other people of what you believe is right, what you found out, which new discovery you made. You can learn how to find precise vocabulary. You can learn strategies, how to write concisely. That means very much to the point, which is also a big difference to German academic writing. In Germany, for many years, I think it's changing a bit now. The prevailing idea has been that the more complicated you sound, the more scholarly you appear. Whereas in the English-speaking world, it's actually the other way around. There you are considered to be a good scholar when you are able to make complicated ideas sound easy, where you can explain them really well in very simple terms. That's considered to be the much better skill, the much more scholarly skill. So as you can see, there are lots of things, lots of aspects that you can learn about writing. And having an opportunity like the writing consultancy, where there's someone to help you with all that, to guide you through it, to point out all these features and principles and tools to you, will save you lots of time and energy. So that's why I believe this is a really, really great opportunity for FHWS members.
Yes, definitely. So will you tell us more about the resources you use?
Yes.
Or is there something else you'd like
I think
to
I'll
discuss
I'll first tell you what exactly I do.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good point. I mean, you've told us the why,
yeah,
and the reason for why it's such a good idea to consult you when writing an academic paper. So how can you sign up? And
actually, everyone can sign up. So it doesn't matter whether you are a student or a member of staff. Whenever you need support with any kind of academic writing in English, you can come to me. Maybe you're writing a term paper or a thesis, maybe you're writing an essay, or you want to apply for an internship or a job abroad. You need to write a CV or letter of motivation. Maybe you want to publish an article. Lots of different kinds of writing. With any of these, you can come and contact me. And you should be, well, I already pointed out why it's a useful thing, but it's free. There's no limit on the number of sessions. This is really, I can't stress this enough, a fantastic opportunity that FHWS provides for its members here. It's super individual because we work one-on-one. So it's a fantastic opportunity for individual skills development. How does it work? It's really easy. Basically, you send me an email. Whenever you have any question with a piece of writing, you send me an email or you contact me via the e-learning website of the writing consultation course. And I ask you to include in your email the piece of writing you need help with. And please add comments if you have questions on certain paragraphs or about wording, or in general, add comments, add questions, either in the email or in the text. That way we can really specifically address your issues. Also, I would like to ask you to include any official guidelines you've been given, because that differs from course to course, from journal to journal, and that helps me in preparation for your consultation. Then once you've sent me your writing, I will have a look at it, and you will get it back looking a lot more colorful than it did before. That's not just because I like colors, but because I do the following. I read your writing and I try to identify areas of improvement that you would benefit most from. So this student, for example, I identified 5 different areas of improvement that would really help her writing to get better. For example, sometimes the student used the wrong linking words or transitional phrases throughout the text. You can see problems with word order throughout the text. So these are all examples of areas of problems that don't just occur once in the writing, but that keep occurring. But I don't just color your writing. I also add lots of, well, not lots, but I add comments. I work a lot with questions to guide you in a certain direction, to tell you whenever, for example, it's difficult for your reader to follow your train of thoughts. I point out these general tips and suggestions. I point out rules and principles that we've previously talked about. So I'll let you know that. And then I will send this back to you. We will then schedule a Zoom consultation. I'm really flexible time-wise, so we'll figure something out. I don't have any specific office hours. In that Zoom meeting, we discuss any open questions you may still have. And I've come to really enjoy doing this via Zoom, because it's really good when you can share a screen and we can actually work together on your writing in real time. We can move parts of text around, we can try out different formulations, see how they make the text flow. We can work more closely on a specific part. And I can also assist you using other online tools or dictionaries, which is something we'll get back to in a couple of minutes. After the consultation, you get a summary of the suggested areas for improvement. And in that summary, I also provide you with useful tips and links to websites with useful materials, or I include materials for further self-study. For example, chapters from books or a couple of worksheets that help you to continue working in these certain areas. So as you can see, I don't proofread, I don't edit, but I analyze your writing. I try to identify the biggest areas of improvement for you individually, and I assist you with any questions on your current piece of writing that you have.
Okay, great. So you are a consultant, not a copy editor. That's a big difference. I mean, you give valuable tips, and this in some ways in certain areas is a bit similar, but there is a fundamental difference. Now, you've already mentioned that you use a whole variety of resources. So what are the main resources you use and recommend in your consultancy?
I would like to show about 2 in more detail and then point out a couple more, which I believe would also be a really good idea for most of you to bookmark in your browser if you are working, if you need to write in English, because most of these are actually online tools. The first one I would like to show you is the FHW's language base. This is basically a bilingual subject-specific dictionary that is being currently, that is consistently updated by the FHWS. And you can browse that, I'll just call it dictionary, you can browse it via course of study and area of study. And of course, alphabetically. And what you then get is you can, you can either type in the German word and then you get the English translation, or vice versa. And then you get results that look like this. So sometimes you get a synonym. It also tells you which area of study this word comes from. And increasingly, you will also find context information. You will find example sentences. These are being added at the moment. So over time, you will find example sentences to more and more of these entries.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Our Best Fit COMA member of staff is working on this right now with another, with another lecturer who is also helping to make this as complete as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a really good resource, and especially everyone on the twin courses should definitely be aware of that and use it a lot in their writing. The second resource I would like to show you in a little bit more detail is sketchengine.eu. That's a corpus database. Mrs. Wunderlich has talked a little bit about corpora before. So basically, this is a huge collection of texts. And you can use this for various functions. It has a number of functions that help you when you are writing. For example, maybe you're writing a text and you want to talk about an example that you feel is strong. So, but you're not sure if strong example is something that you would actually say in English. You're not quite sure if this is authentic use. So in this case, you would go to sketchengine.eu and use the concordance function. And then you type in strong example. And I picked here in this example, the British National Corpus. There are lots of different corpora, collections of text that you can pick from. This is one of the biggest ones, that's why I used this one for this example here. But there's also one that's just a compilation of academic texts, for example. And then you get this result. It shows you sentences from these collections of texts where the words strong and example are used together. You can see here that there are only 2 instances where this actually happens. As there are literally billions of words and texts in this corpus, this will tell you that that's probably not a very common use. So what do? You think of alternatives. What else could you maybe say? Strong example, good example. So you try the same thing for good example, And at one click, you see this is much more frequent. It appears more than 800 times in these texts. So from that, you gather the information that this is the much more authentic use to write good example. But it doesn't just do that. Maybe you want to use more examples in your text, but you don't want to say good example every single time because you've learned repetition is good, but not too much. So what else can you do? You can use the word sketch function, then you can type in example, and then you get this, another list of really useful results. For example, you get a list of adjectives that you can use with example that occur frequently together with example. These are called collocations. So instead of good example, you could also say a prime example or a fine example. So it gives you this information. It also gives you a list of verbs that you can use with example. The example illustrates, the example shows, etc. These are just a few appliances that you have with this tool, but there's much more that you can do with that. They're great online tutorials. I'm happy to help you with it. And again, thanks to the continuous and relentless effort of Mrs. Wunderlich, this is also free for all FHWS students and staff members to use. And I strongly recommend you familiarize yourself with it and make very good use of it. Yeah, apart from these two, I also strongly recommend you get a good monolingual and bilingual dictionaries. I would like to take this opportunity to point out that you actually have free premium access to all Langenscheidt dictionaries via the FHWS library catalog. You can also access them remotely from home. There are a couple of more websites that are really great. The first one is the Academic Phrase Bank by the University of Manchester, which gives you a fantastic list of phrases that are frequently used in writing, for example, that you can use in your introduction, that you can use to explain limitations of your research, etc., many of them. Very similar to that is the website Using English for Academic Purposes. It's a bit more tricky to navigate, but this one not only gives you chunks of language, example sentences, it also gives you very useful information on different writing genres, for example, how to write a proper abstract, what to look for in an introduction, etc. So have a look at these two websites too. And last but not least, I also recommend having a look at the Writing Consultation e-learning course website, because I also put materials up there that I find very useful to the majority of people who contact me. And I'm updating that continuously.
Yeah, so that is really an excellent resource. Okay, we are a bit short or pressed for time, so maybe tell us briefly how to schedule an individual writing consultation with you, and then we'll.
I just wanted to finish off with how you can contact me. It's really easy. Send me an email, include the piece of writing you need help with and the official guidelines. And the earlier you contact me, the more your writing will benefit from the consultation. I'm sure we can do something 2 days before your due date or deadline. But if you contact me, for example, after you've written your introduction, I will definitely be able to give you lots of good tips and materials that help you with the rest of your writing. And you can schedule more more consultations for the same piece of writing.
So you seem very enthusiastic about what you do, so I'm sure you must enjoy greatly working with students and staff of our university. So thanks very much. That's great, and I can also only second this and recommend that to everyone who needs academic writing done, that they get in contact with you. All right, now let's turn to the language learning counseling and Hilda Körner, who is responsible for this part.
So I'm Hilda Körner. I'm American, and I'm born to first generation immigrants from China. I got my bachelor's degree from Barnard College in New York City, and I was privileged enough to be able to attend a college where the likes of Margaret Mead and Annalyn Quinlan, Erica Young, and even Martha Stewart went, along with a bunch of other wonderful trailblazing women, came to the Germany in 2002 with the US military. But before that, I had always been involved in education in some way. So after graduating from college, I went to work at the Smithsonian in the adult education department, and then in the programming department for exhibitions and publications. And so then moving over into the Army family, I was trained there to be an instructor to help out the soldiers and the family members, and always being involved in the PTA, being a substitute teacher, kindergarten teacher's assistant, and I received my TOEFL certificate when I came to Germany, because I thought, it's nice to be able to speak the language, but you need to know exactly how to be able to teach the language. So that was very helpful, because when I came to Germany, I didn't speak any German. I spoke maybe 2 words, and it was very difficult to learn everything on your own, and you really don't know where to begin. So, and because I felt I can speak full sentences, logical sentences, have a total conversation in English, but I couldn't say 2 things in German, and I didn't know where to begin. So that was one of the things that really attracted me to this counseling session, because there are a lot of students and or staff or anyone, they know they want to improve their English, and they know they want to get to a certain level, but they don't know how to go about it, where to start, what to concentrate on, what kind of materials are available to them. And they may not even be familiar with some of the strategies that they can actually use to help them get to that point.
That's great. So what exactly is it you do? Who can sign up, and how and why should you do it?
Okay, so this program, just like Hannah's program, is open to everyone, and it is absolutely free of charge, and it's very flexible. So it is a one-on-one counseling session, but we could make it into a small group. For instance, 2 people who have the same goals can come and sign up, and then I kind of coach them and lead them along the way. But first, what we have to do is we have to find out what their goals are. And that's like the biggest step, because most of the time they come with these really very general, far-reaching goals, and that's what's intimidating and overwhelming. So when we can actually go through a questionnaire, I help them try to pare it down from huge goals down to more concrete goals. Someone came to me and said, I want to be able to participate in discussions. I said, that's fantastic. What kind of discussions? Are they political debates? Are they technical discussions? Or do you want to find out how you can communicate with people from other cultures, because their styles might be different? Or do you want to be able to state your opinion without hurting the other person's feelings or starting a fight? So those are the kinds of things that come out with this, and they're really grateful. And it's, oh, I never really thought about it in that way. So first, that's what we do. I help them with that, and then I show them that not only now that you have your goals, let's think about what resources we have and what we can do, and how to record your progress, which is really important. Because most of the time people, they do exercises and they say, okay, that's done. But then they don't evaluate it. They don't say, okay, I've gotten 75% of it, but I need to really work on the other 25, or I have some questions after I've done this exercise. And so then I'm there to help them notice what they've accomplished, what they can go on to next. And this really motivates the students too, because then they can actually see their progress. When it's actually in print, it helps them out quite a bit. So now, what I'd like to do is, if I would like to show you the two primary sources that we use, which is Speaks and Techno Plus.
And what makes Speaks and Techno Plus such great learning resources? Will you tell us a little more about that as well?
Yes, I will. First of all, I think Speaks and Techno Plus are a lot of fun. They're really engaging, and I'm going to show you Speaks first. Speaks is more of a general language learning program where you have access to video, you have access to different articles, you can practice business English, all different kinds of grammar topics. There are, I think, 31 different topics you can use. You can even practice your pronunciation. And along with that, you have at the top My Training, or in German meine Übungen, where you can practice day-to-day dialogues and different phrases. It's like a travel phrase book, and it's very useful. And then now the new feature that they put in a few months ago is the vocabulary trainer. And with this, in each of the exercises you go into, if there is a word you don't know, you can actually put it into your vocabulary trainer and practice. It's a digital card. So one side is the word, and then if you know the word, then it flips over for you to check it. And what's great is with the videos, they're constantly, along with the articles, they're constantly being updated, I think, every day or every 2 days, depending on Harvard Business Review, Euronews, or New York Times. And there are many, many different topics you can pick from. So every person can find something of their interest, because when they're interested in it, they pay better attention. So, so then you can also check your comprehension in the videos, and you can check it right away. So that's one of the problems before, that students would do exercises, but they couldn't check their questions right away, or they had to contact the teacher. This is immediate, so they know how they're doing. And so with the articles, what's fabulous about the articles is it has enhanced text. So all the vocabulary words that are highlighted, you can just pass your cursor over there and get the definition right away. So as students are reading, or anyone who's reading and they come across a new word, most of the time my experience is they just skip over it. They say, oh, okay, I understand it, and they skip over it. Maybe they'll look it up later. But here, they can do it without taking the extra effort to get their dictionary, which is on the other side, or open up another web page to look it up. And that helps an awful lot. Then going over to Techno Plus, which is basically for focused more for engineering students. Right now, we have 6 topics, and topics are going to be added. So here, let's take a closer look. If you click on one of them, on any of them, all the lessons, you can pick it as a German learner for English, or you can pick it as English from English. And this is great, because this is kind of like having the language base in the FH, in the university, built in when you pick German learners for English, because it will also give you definitions in German and English. So each lesson is divided up into 4 parts. The first 2 parts are either video or text, or video and text, along with comprehension questions. Then there are always vocabulary exercises, and then grammar exercises. And with these, you can always check all of your answers immediately. And I think that's very helpful for the students, because Now they're used to getting everything now. So then they can get their answers now and see how they're doing. Then I would like to show you the wonderful Techno Plus vocabulary app. So I'm going to open my phone. Okay. And here it is. Oops. Yes.
Yeah, for a live demonstration.
Yes, that's right.
See how it actually works.
And so here with Techno Plus app, it's free for everyone at the university. And what's great about the app is it not only has technical English that's coupled with the lessons on that we just saw, but it also has basic general English and business English. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you the basic general English, and there are many, many different topics that you can choose from. And what's also great about it is you can keep track of your progress. I'm going to go into arranging meetings. And this is divided into 2 chunks because otherwise it would just be too many exercises all at once. So everything is divided up into manageable chunks. So I'm going to go into arranging meetings 2. And these are all divided up into 4 phases. The revising phase, then there's the learning phase, then you get to practice. And then in the end, after you've done all that, then you apply. So I'm in the revising phase. What you do is you actually, okay, what is that word? And so this is like using a card. But what you do is it's also like playing the lotto. When you go and you buy your lotto ticket and you say, ooh, what is it? And then you get to scratch it away.
Monday at 11. That sounds good.
And it's awesome. Then not only do you get the word, then you also get it in a sentence. So you know how it's supposed to be used. And then they read the sentence out loud. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to the learning part. The learning part is just a tap. So you have to spell your word. So, oh, red, that's wrong. That's wrong. You have 3 chances.
What time would you suggest?
Okay, and then you can do this as many times as you would like, but you have to finish all of your 11 tasks here before you can start over. Now, the practicing part is a lot of fun. The practicing part is like a tap-tap game. So, oh, it's not loading.
Try it once more, because that really is a fun part. I've tried it myself.
Okay, I'm gonna
on several occasions. So that's
here we go. So now they're floating
live.
down and you just tap on it and oh, I got it right. Oh, I got it wrong. Dang. Ah. There we go. And then if you get it wrong, it will recycle. So you just keep playing until you get them all right. Now, then the hardest part is the applying. Here you have to actually type in the words. There are no more clues, except, well, the term in German is there. And so then you just press the check and it'll tell you if you have it right or wrong. And then you do it again. Oh, and the smiley face gets sadder.
I'd like to make an appointment with you.
Okay, and on the 3rd try, they tell you what it is, and then they read the sentence out loud. So, and I recommend this to all the students because, you know, when they're waiting at the bakery, they're waiting for the bus, they're waiting for the train, it's something they can just pull out. They all have their cell phones with them, or you can also use it on a tablet. So if the screen is too small, use it on your tablet, something to do during your waiting time.
Yeah, that works really well too. All right. So how can students contact you if they want to benefit from your services and not just do this all this by themselves?
Oh, okay. So what they can, oops, what they can do is they can contact me at my email address, or they can go onto e-learning, to the language learning counseling platform that has been set up. And then we just make an appointment, and it depends on how much time they have, because I'm very flexible too. And that's why these two programs are really wonderful for the really busy student, for the really busy staff members, for everyone, because it fits into their schedule and they actually have control of their own learning.
Yeah, and it looks as though you're having lots of fun with your students, and you're also very enthusiastic about what you do. It's really contagious. So thanks very much. Right, are there any further questions? If not, then I'd like to thank my co-presenters for helping me make this a successful presentation, and also my team and staff at Best Fit for helping set all this up and do all the important work in the background. So thanks very much, everyone, for joining us here today, and I look forward to seeing you again in another context, and I would like to wish you a nice weekend, and yeah, take care. See you soon. Bye bye.